no snow right now, but it is coming, right? Like we watch Game of Thrones, they say it's coming.
Winter is coming. I don't know when it'll actually come, but I know it's early November right now. I'm still in shorts. Hopefully that winter comes sooner rather than later. What we want to go over today is the brand new 2025 Polaris Dynamics VR1 Boost, Patriot Boost. Brand new for this year. The biggest thing is going to be these dynamic suspension that we have on there with the Fox Live shocks. There are actually 4 of these shocks that are all wired into this machine.
So there's 2 up in the skid.
2 up in the skid, which is the first sled to have all 4 controlled that are live shocks.
So for those who don't know, what exactly is a live shock?
So the live shocks, there's sensors on these shocks that are actually plugged into your actual computer system within the sled. So all 4 shocks are being monitored live. If you hit a bump, you'll actually see on your screen the motion that the shock or the impact that the shock is taking or experiencing during your ride. And you have 3 different settings that you can set the shocks at. So if it's a rough trail out there, you can put it in rally mode. That'll be your stiffest suspension setting. So if you really have a lot of big bumps, some big jumps out there, that's what you're going to want to have it set at, which we'll go through here. We'll start it up.
Yeah, let's take a look at the gauge here. And this gauge was on previous models.
Yep, it's your 7S display, which is standard on most of our sleds now, but it's got your ride command in it, which is completely touch screen.
So your Polaris owners will be familiar with this setup already.
Yes, absolutely. There you go. You got comfort.
Sorry, we're trying to show your hand adjusted there too.
So you got comfort, rally, and then extreme. So your different settings here. And it does it right on the fly.
Jeff's going to pull out the wheels just to give you guys a full look at how the suspension will change versus the previous setting that you were using. So he's going to switch from one setting to the next for us now that those wheels are off. So what are you starting in? What mode?
This is extreme, but let me put it in comfort.
So extreme would be the stiffest.
Yep. So that's comfort.
Yeah, let me do that again. Let me get a close-up of the shock. Okay.
Now we're going to put it in extreme for you.
Oh, wow, it really stiffens it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead and show us again. Yeah, it doesn't move as much.
No. So basically those 4 shocks are all connected. So the brain of the Dynamics is a patented IMU, which is the inertia measurement unit. So it senses what the vehicle is actually doing. Every movement from cornering to acceleration to airborne is captured and understood by the IMU, which then dictates shock position and compression to deliver the best trail handling on the snow.
And it's all operated right at your lap through that one button.
Yep. So then let's go into the gauge here. So see, there's your green there. So they're not, obviously the sled is sitting still. We're in extreme right now. Let me put it back into comfort mode. So now you're at like nothing. So as you can see, there's your shocks right there. Even hitting your brake in that. So comfort mode, you really got to get on it to see the reaction from the shock, just because they're so soft. You put it up here into extreme. Now you can see these different shocks. I'm really jumping on this. I'm only 200 pounds, but and you can see when you give it throttle, your shocks already start to move. So every second that is constantly updating on there. So very, very cool feature. This is the first time that Polaris has actually offered it on a sled. They have it in the Razors, but it's now onto your trail sleds, which this is going to be our demo this year. So we're going to be able to get out and rip on this, which hopefully we'll have another video when that snow comes. Just to give you a better look at the sled and how it handles and how it adjusts. The biggest thing, this is the first snowmobile that has all 4 shocks that are fully reading into the sled and having input and output.
Right, but this isn't the first sled we've seen with intelligently controlled shocks. Skidoo came out with smart shocks, yes? So what's different between that and this?
So the biggest thing between smart shocks and this, with the actual shocks, you can actually see their settings on here where you can't see what's happening on your smart shocks. You don't get to see how they're reacting or what they're doing during your ride. Also, The Smart Shocks only has 3 readings. So you have both front shocks, and then you only have the rear track shock that is Smart Shocks. This has all 4.
All 4.
Yep.
And I'll get a shot again. I did have a question. What is the advantage of seeing what those shocks are doing, though?
When you're riding in trail conditions, you can set it, and then you're actually seeing where or what is being done, what's taking that impact.
So basically, use the machine's response to
Yes.
gauge your suspension setting.
Basically, it gives you the opportunity that the suspension modes feature a wide range of capability, enabling the system to maintain bottom-out prevention and comfort and smooth out trail chatter in extreme. So if you're on Tug Hill, I mean, you go out in the morning, you'll have it in comfort mode because there's no bumps or any moguls.
Perfectly groomed trails.
Perfectly groomed trails. You can just cruise. And then you come home 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you got 4-foot runners and bumps. You're going to want it in that extreme to make that ride the smoothest that you can.
Any other new features on this that came with this model that we haven't seen in previous years, or do they just adapt from other models?
It's the same other than the shock package, which, I mean, let's see if we could take off the side panels. I think that's your hardware right there because that's not in any of the other ones.
Okay. So that's the brains to your suspension right there. Now, all this additional hardware is obviously going to add weight. Is it a significant amount between the other models that don't have these shocks?
It is only 510 pounds. I'll have to look and see what the regular sled weights are. But
good to know. 510 pounds. We'll look at a comparison here. Maybe I can throw that on the video.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it's much because it's mostly wiring. I mean, it could be a little bit, but
there's got to be a servo in there that's turning the settings.
Yep. And then this is a boost too, so there's your little turbo.
Yep, you got a turbo right on top of your exhaust can. That's really cool looking, man.
And I'm actually pretty excited to get the opportunity to ride this sled. It is our demo sled, so if anybody is in the area and we have a decent amount of snow, we will have this available for demo rides here at Bibbens Sales.
Tell us why this is a good New York trail sled, though.
It's a 137, so I mean, that's mostly what the market's getting into nowadays is that little bit longer track. It gives you a little bit more support on the trails with the bumps in that. It absorbs those bumps a little bit better. I mean, this is their bread and butter is the 137. It's a coupled suspension versus an uncoupled suspension when you go to a 146.
And what's the track on this? It's not meant for deep powder. It's more for a trail sled.
Yeah, this is more trail sled. I mean, this is a 135 Cobra track on a 2-ply track.
So the suspension on here is probably the most impressive thing for 2025 with Polaris. What kind of travel can you expect out of this setup?
Front travel is 9.3 inches.
Oh, so it's pretty tall. Does this ride like tippy in the trail?
I guess that's something that we're going to have to find out. But the nice thing about having that comfort mode or the different modes is it's going to adapt. So if you do get too much ski pressure on one side, you're going to see that with the skis or your shocks. They're going to adapt to that and update live so you won't get out of control.
Oh, wow, that's cool. What are the horsepower numbers that those 850s produce with the turbo on there?
So yeah, with this Patriot Boost motor, you're looking around 180 horsepower.
180 horsepower. What is the suspension travel in the rear?
So you're sitting at an astounding 16.2 inches on that.
16.2, so it was 9.5 up front.
Yep.
16.2 in the rear. Now, can you still adjust anything in the back, or is it all taken care of with the suspension?
So the only thing you can really change in the back here, so yeah, you can't touch the shocks, but you do have your torsion springs there.
Okay,
so they are adjustable. So
you still turn that.
Yep, you turn that. You can put it on high or medium, and that'll stiffen that up even more for you.
And
you do have the rail stiffeners in there too. That's standard. Transfer blocks are there. There's no adjustability really. There is on it, but you have to loosen those up to move them. So that's a little bit different than previous models.
Yep. Now, this, as far as I understand it, is for the weight of the rider, right?
Yes.
Okay, so a lighter rider would turn down, heavier rider turn up.
Yep, and the biggest thing too is that what we need to find out is how that affects with these dynamic shocks, how the weight changes the ride. But the nice thing is, each rider, if you're 200 pounds or 300 pounds, is going to adjust automatically for you.
Right. And the good thing is this is a demo, guy. So Bibbens would let you try this, and we can get feedback from many different size riders, different weight riders, different ability as well to give their feedback on this. So what's the plan? We're just going to wait for snow, I guess, huh?
Yeah. I do have an XCR demo as well.
Yep.
That's a 9R, so it's a different engine on that one and different shocks and everything on that. But yeah, we will have this available to ride as a demo. Hopefully we get that snow that they're calling for this winter, and we can get as many people on this to ride it and experience this new sled with these features. And I definitely think that they won't be disappointed if they do get the chance to ride it.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you have any other questions about this particular model, go ahead and leave it in the video comments. We'll do our best to field them as best as we can. And if you'd like to see the inventory at Bibbens, check out bibbenssales.com for the entire lineup of all their new and used sleds. We'll see you guys on the trail this winter.